Sexual harassment has been identified as one of the damaging and barriers to careers and satisfaction of most women and young girls in Cameroon today and across the world. Testimonies from some victims and observers of the higher education milieu in Cameroon are now revealing that thousands of students stopped their education because of sexual harassment by their lecturers. 1 out of 5 women we interviewed in the streets of Cameroon said they had been victims of sexual harassment, be it at the secondary, high school, university, and even when they had to get into a job or had to search for a job. Now we continue to talk about sexual harassment, and the program is a turn up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child. Stay with us. Welcome to another exciting edition of your program, Turn Up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child on Canal Do English. We are broadcasting live from Douala, Cameroon, and today we focus on sexual harassment, which is a growing social phenomenon in schools, in secondary, high school, university, and even when women get a job, they still talk about sexual harassment. And that's why today we have brought fine brains. We've brought women to talk about these very important issues that continue to affect the life of millions of women around the world. We'll be right back. Equally expecting to have your reactions on the number you will see on your TV screens. You can equally tag us on our Facebook page, on our YouTube, on equally on Twitter. You just need to type Ndih Maureen, Turn Up, and have all our past editions. Now it's time for us to know our guests. It's time for discussions. To begin, the person very close to me, she's called Evelyn Mituge. You are into communications. That's it. First of all, you're equally director of Communion Foundation, but this time around, Women Empowerment Center, based in Kumba in the Southwest region. Now, how have you been coping with the foundation?
Well, seriously, it's not easy because the initial idea was to see how we can help these displaced girls who have been in all the trouble. We know about the situations that are happening in the Southwest and Northwest regions. And Dr. Christopher Fomunyo thought that in his own way, he would try to see how we can accommodate, especially the young girls who have been displaced from those villages, because you know there are practically several villages that have been burnt down, and so these girls had to come looking for places to stay, looking for what to do, and just as a cue to the sexual harassment we're talking about, this center is helping these girls so that they will not be exposed to issues like this kind of harassment.
All right, we equally have Patience Akenji. It's not the first time I'm inviting you on the program.
No, it's not, Maureen.
All right. Now, you are into communications, let me put it that way.
Well, I'm more into human rights consultancy. And yeah, you're right, you can say communication because that requires going around doing sensitization.
All right. Now, how, in your own sector, now, how can I put it? Now, how do you promote human rights in Cameroon in your own small way?
Well, there is something to say that, human rights depends on a culture.
Okay.
But again, more often than not, we forget the fact that a culture can actually be violating human rights.
Okay.
But as Cameroonians, knowing our culture and knowing our laws, knowing everything that is going around, we just have to sensitize people because usually we forget and we think we have the law. But there is the law, and the implementation of the law is usually very complicated. It's a problem. And difficult.
It's a real problem in Cameroon. Now, we're talking about sexual harassment, and we're talking about women, we're talking about young girls. Now, if you have been a victim, if you have experiences, your testimonies, you can send your reactions on the number you're seeing on your TV screens. Back here in the studio, I want to begin with, now, how do you define sexual harassment? Evelyn?
Well, sexual harassment has a global form, but when you look at it, so many people reduce sexual harassment to either by force sex, let me put it that way, because when they hear sexual and then they hear harassment, everybody wants to hear an issue of tussling. But sexual harassment has a global view. It has to do with any action that makes a victim uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's harassment.
That is not voluntary.
That is not voluntary.
Okay.
And we look at it, it can be physical, it can be verbal,
Okay.
it can be even emotional,
Okay.
and so
All right,
on and so forth.
we're going to look into the different forms. Now, patience, now, how common is it in society today? We're talking about sexual harassment. When you look at society, is it a common phenomenon? Is it gaining grounds in Cameroon?
Sexual harassment is very common. You know, some people don't even realize they are being sexually harassed. Because I can define sexual harassment as simple as unwelcome sexual advances.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very common phenomenon. And except you say it, which is something that people die of silence, like rape and many other, you know, embarrassing situations.
Okay.
You realize that people don't talk about it, so we don't realize how much and how rampant it is in the society.
All right. Now, we're talking about, let's take this sexual harassment, let's say, in secondary schools, in higher education,
No, don't even go
institutions
that
of higher
primary.
learning.
We start
Let-
with
all right,
Yes.
Evelyn.
Yes, when we look at even the primary section,
Okay.
you see, because a lot of our children nowadays are exposed to several things.
Okay.
Those telenovelas that we watch, those your children, you say now they say freedom of speech, a child has a freedom to do this or to say this, to sit among elderly persons. Those harassments now start from the base.
All right.
And now some people, there are even a lot of conflicting ideas, because I say that people think that sexual harassment can only come from a male to a female. It also comes from a female to a male,
Okay.
from a child to an adult. Because as a primary school teacher, you can be harassed sexually by your people in class without even knowing.
Okay. Now, okay, let's take the case of a secondary, high school, or even university. We've had a lot of students complain that in the university, maybe your lecturer will stop you or would even fail you in a
Exactly.
subject just because he wants something. Now, I feel like, is it a growing practice in our universities or institutions of higher learning in Cameroon today?
You know, when you asked me that question, I was tempted to say it's as old as the profession of prostitution.
Exactly.
Because
Okay.
it's something that you probably just grow seeing it and
Okay.
knowing it, and you see real people going through it.
Okay.
It's a very common practice. And like she said, it's from primary school, and it's just getting worse. It's, when she talked about telenovelas, I kind of smiled, because my pastor said one day that when you watch these things, especially with kids, it's a voice that talks to you. So you think it's something that is normal, it's regular. You can practice it, you can do it, and you will go, you go scot-free.
All right.
They don't really realize what's going on.
All right, let's take, for example, let's say a lecturer. It's a grown-up, right? And he's harassing a student, a female student. Now,
Yeah.
Now,
how do you play? Where do you place that?
I want to blame the student. I don't think there is any news for a lecturer to harass a student. Talk less of university student. I think I want to blame that university student.
How?
Because this
I'll give
university
you time,
girl
Patience.
is old enough to understand that this is what is happening and take prompt action. You see, because if we start doing that, some of these lecturers will stop doing what they are doing. How can you, a university student, if a primary school child is harassed and the child stays quiet, I would say that is normal. But if a university student is being harassed by a lecturer, I want to see it in the news. I want to see how that university student is harassing, reacting very seriously back at that lecturer, and not that soft talking that people are just saying that the lecturer has harassed a university student, and she's there, sitting there, she's not even saying anything. She just gossiped it, and then other people are saying it for her.
All right, Patient.
I'm going to have a contrary opinion about that.
Okay.
First of all, sexual harassment it's we cannot assume that everybody understands and know exactly what's going on. And like rape, sexual harassment, it's usually most of the time by people you know, by people you look up to. So if we talk about students, what about workers? What about your boss sexually harassing you? You're an adult. So this university student has a problem, and she goes to her lecturer. And the lecturer openly, because this time they don't even, hide behind and ask you quietly, openly tells you, for you to get this done, you have to sleep with me. So do you blame her for going to talk to her lecturer? That's the person she counts on. That's the person who is teaching her. That's the person that she has to go to for that information.
Okay.
And so if she does not give him those sexual favors, he threatens her. I'm not going to give you the marks you deserve. And if you give me this, I'm going to give you the marks, even if you don't write your exam. So now, she's caught in between and in betwixt. Should I talk about it? Are they even going to take this seriously at all? Because that's something about sexual harassment. People don't take it seriously.
Yeah, because it's difficult
It's difficult to prove.
to identify or
It's a very gray area, you know. You need proof. You need tangible proof. So it's something that is difficult to talk about. It's difficult to prove. And then this student is like, if I talk about it,
There's an
I can
old
be
age problem. That's been
stigmatized.
there.
Yes. You know, so, you know, there are so many factors that just messes you up. So I'm not going to blame this
And what are the
student.
factors that can just like mess you up, and you want to like succumb to the lecturer because you're afraid he can fail you, or he has been saying a lot of things about you?
It's
Because
not
we've had
just-
lecturers who have nailed students for 1,
Yeah.
2, 3 years. They've been in the university because they don't want to give in.
and it's going to continue as long as we keep swallowing up these issues.
Now, who do you blame here?
I'm saying,
Is it that the young girl does not know her rights, or they cannot tell the lecturer that, no, I can't give in?
It's
Or she's
fear.
just like, she's afraid that what's going to happen to me if I don't pass that course, if I don't go to the next level?
Exactly.
So who harasses who here?
You know, there is the factor of fear. Fear of not wanting to, you know, to report your lecturer. Fear that you're not going to pass that course. And I mean, we have so many cases. You know, people have not gone to the next year because their lecturers just simply failed them. You know, and then there is this stigmatization. And then there is a fact that we keep forgetting, education.
Okay.
Going to school does not mean you know all these things. You're just going to school to study some particular thing. But there is something that we have to sensitize the public about it. The more you talk about it, the more they realize that there is something wrong with this. And the more you give them the courage and the confidence, then they can stand up and say,
So-
no. For the sexual harassment,
For the sexual
the
harassment, that is,
harasser, the person
growing.
who harasses the other person.
And who harasses? Evelyn.
Oh,
both parties here are harassing each other. Because the fact that your lecturer is harassing you to give you marks, if you stay quiet, I look at it as also a harassment to your own self.
Okay.
Yes, speak up. That's why we are talking about it, because we want some of this kind of ills
If you're speaking up to another lecturer who is in the same, doing the same thing, what about going to another lecturer who, starts his own advances?
No. There is always a procedure. In school milieus, you have a department that takes care of abuses, orientations, and all of that. If you go there, there is a channel, there is a chain of authority in everything. There is a way. You must start from somewhere. If it doesn't work from the first stage, move on to the other one. If it doesn't, you have your parents at home now. You go to your parents and tell them.
But
this
there's
is
a
what is
general
happening.
if there's a general cry, it means that the department is not doing.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know, when you talk about that, I just think of it. It's a general thing. How many people even know about this procedure? How much can you trust the person who is seated there? You know, this is a lecturer, so it's like, how much can you trust the person who is seated there that you want to talk to?
Okay.
You know, then the question is, even if you do it, how seriously are they going to take it? What proof do you have? That's why it's so difficult. It's something that it's
difficult,
it's
but
very
we just have
difficult
to try.
but we have to
Okay.
do it. But there is one thing I'm going to agree with Evelyn. You have to say no. We have to learn to say no. And then the people who are harassing have to learn to know that no is no. It's not like, I'm just trying to say, oh no, you can, and most of the time anyway, we laugh over it when we are sexually harassed.
Okay.
Because you don't even realize it. You see a young girl passing and somebody just hits her butt. That's not right.
But when she allows it,
Then they
Yeah,
keep
then
doing it.
you give the impression that you're
yeah.
enjoying it. So it's no longer a harassment.
No, it falls in.
You're enjoying it.
It falls in the same milieu. You talked about. I think of it like as society, the morals of our society are falling. So there are so many things that people take for granted.
okay.
You know, we listen to too many voices. Are they the voices of the telenovelas we watch? Are they the voices of the people we see on the street who are not morally brought up?
Okay.
Are they the voices of our peers in school who are used to those things? Are they even the voices of your parents who are unable to teach you? Are they the voices of the society? So there are just too many voices.
Now, I want us to look at the circumstances, for example, that can push somebody to be harassed. Or let's look at the circumstances. Now, what do you have to say about that?
Wait, that can push somebody to harass you, mean the harasser? See, by the time somebody thinks about it, by the time somebody thinks about the fact that he has to harass, believe me, he's not innocent. I can remember the case when the minister said something about girls dressing indecently. That's why they are being sexually harassed.
That's a factor.
You know, yeah, you know, it's another point where, you know, I always want to play the other side. When you look at it, even if you wear kaba, a regular traditional kaba, you'll still be sexually harassed. Some men don't need to see what you're wearing to sexually harass you. Or some women just have a crush on a man and they harass them sexually. The thing is, we always make a mistake and think there are women who are usually sexually harassed, or because women cry foul more. But the men are, you know, this macho factor. I cannot tell somebody that a woman has sexually harassed me, or she's asking me out, or, you know, she's squeezed me in the wrong place or something, just because he's a man. But they are equally sexually harassed.
Evelyn, you had a contrary view?
No. I'm quite okay with what she's saying. Only, you know, for somebody to be harassed, I want to look at, first of all, the mentality of that person. There are times when people, because of the environment that they grow in, it affects them. When they go out to other places, they see other things, they get tempted to behave abnormally. Yeah, I know that there are some men who are naturally easily seduced to anything. Yes, to anything. And the same with girls. There are some girls who think that what a man can do, a woman can do better. That mentality gives them the nerve to do extraordinary things. And then there is also alcohol. People will go into drinking.
By the time the lecturer is asking you out or saying that if you don't give me this or not, is it alcohol?
No. I'm just using another
in
factor.
broad daylight.
We are talking about. We're talking about different factors. So we have talked about maybe the way you're dressing. We'll talk about the environment. We'll talk about the psychological state of the person's mind at that time. There are some lecturers who have problems at home. But so when they leave home, by the time they come in, they try to distract themselves. And in the course of
the students,
by harassing students,
No, I'm not giving a reason for the lecturer to harass a student. I am giving a possible reason why a harassment can take place.
All right. It's a real sensitive issue. It's a common practice in society. And it was so difficult for women out there, even young girls, to talk about the circumstances through which they were harassed, maybe by a lecturer, by a male colleague, because it happens even at their job site. But we caught up with two women who were bold enough to tell us about their own experiences. Let's listen to them.
Her determination and ambitious attitude has been her watchword since she left the university some 12 years ago. Today, she's a career woman, but still holds souvenirs of sexual harassment in her secondary school days.
Yes, on several accounts, on different occasions, different environment, my workplace, like in school environment, I have been. Actually, it is not this issue of, you know, they won't just come and grab you. You know, but they have this funny way of addressing women and always looking at you like they're undressing you. You see, oh, she has good breast, oh, and all of those kind of things don't speak well because you become an object. At that point in time, you become an object. You're not valued as a person. Your intelligence is not considered, or if you're good in school or not. So in a school environment, it was among schoolmates, it was classmates. Back then, I didn't really understand that it was sexual harassment. You see, it didn't occur to me that it was sexual harassment. For me, can imagine at the age of 15, 16, growing up, you know, and I was being harassed in the sense where it was like, she's so more of a boy. Why is she doing this kind of thing? You see, and everybody wants to see whether I could be a woman, some want to come and touch, some want to feel my body, and then luckily enough, I had this very strict dad, stringent dad, who would run back to school and tell you that, you know, with my child, I paid the school fees for you to teach my child. You don't have any right to suppress my child in school. I was lucky.
This young Cameroonian-born lady sees sexual harassment as her worst nightmare in her secondary school days.
Yeah, many times I've been a victim of sexual harassment. You know, as a girl child, growing up is not easy.
In the face of the rising social problem, orchestrated by some lecturers who request sex in exchange for marks, many students were forced to move from one department to the other in frustration, with thousands ending up dropping out of school entirely.
You know, lecturers always come to you like if you're not very good and you have a course that is giving you troubles in school, and in order for you to graduate, sometimes you have to give in, sometimes sleep with them in order for you to have a pass mark or even have the opportunity to graduate. So I think that was the first time I experienced sexual harassment.
On the class marks, you know, I had a classmate who had to repeat a course for like 4 times. One course, level 1 course actually, she went in for it, and until the administration had to intervene, she had to go and report the case up.
In most cases, female students can be blocked for up to 1 to 4 years in university just for refusing sex to a lecturer. Even after succeeding in university studies, young girls say the nightmare continues in their search for jobs. At this stage, their documents are either blocked by the director or a male employer who has interest in them.
Maureen, I'm going to laugh at that because it was an experience, you know, when you just leave the university being pampered by your schoolmates, by your parents, and then you get into a milieu where it's the first time you cross the bridge and then you're standing in the middle where everywhere you have men. And then I don't know whether I would say I'm fortunate to have the voice and the person that I look like. It has this intimidating appearance towards the men. So the only way they could go about it is like just telling you that you're not good enough, you know. And then you have those who are coming behind and telling you that, do you know it's because of your color, it's because of your skin, do you know it? I don't want to call names, but I have my colleagues who want to really touch my breast if they're real. It is true that I am playing over it now. Like I'm using it for a joke. It's a work milieu. Okay, let's do that. But it's harassment. You know, you have a colleague who really comes and he wants to fall on your body and, you know, give you a kiss. And I don't mean a peck, I mean a kiss. Wants to really kiss you. Some in a state of alcohol influence, some with open-minded.
I'm a lover of entertainment. I love movies so much, so I always love to be an actress. So in the middle of the film industry, I had a couple of sexual harassments. Like, in order for you to play a role, to have a role in a movie, you have to give in, you have to be my girlfriend, you have to sleep with me. And I had to tell that guy that if sleeping with you is going to make me famous, then forget about it.
Trying to find out if they ever succumb to this, their answer is categoric.
What happens?
I didn't give in because I had a reputation to keep. And besides, I had to receipt for that cause. Yes, I had to receipt for that cause.
All right, you had to receipt for the
Yes, I had to receipt for the cause, and I had to work very hard. I receipted for the cause, and then I passed. So that made my way through the university.
All right, now.
Some of the women now think the men problem is denouncing.
And you must tell somebody, because if you start telling somebody, it is problem half solved. You see, so you young girls out there, it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are, who your father is or who your father is not, okay? Most particularly, you need to know who you are first. You need to know what you want, what you're striving for. I'm going to use the words of a colleague who told me that when you are looking for a job and you find one, put at the back of your mind that you got that job because God wants you to get the job. And no man can take the job away from you.
Now, what are you telling them?
At the end of the day, the truth of the matter is there are times that you succumb to these people and you never have that job. Yes, you should be, as a woman, you should be a woman of dignity. Yes, because sleeping with the boss is not guaranteed that you're going to have the job. So my advice to them is that they should be very, very careful not to fall a victim of sexual harassment.
Many women have described sexual harassment as a damaging winter in the academic pursuit of girls. In Cameroon, 3 professors had been suspended for sexually harassing female students in exchange for good grades, according to the Cameroon's Minister of Higher Education. Many cases reported previously have not been sanctioned. Some women have disclosed but continue to call on other women to break the silence.
Back in the studio, I'm accompanied by fine brains. I'm accompanied by women. I'm here to talk about sexual harassment after watching that story or that reported testimonies. Now, I want to start from the last word. She just said that if at times the girls, the young girls or the women succumb to the men, they end up not having the job.
She just said it all.
Yeah, she said it. Maureen, you know what? I think actually I had an experience, but I'm not succumbing.
All
You know,
right.
when I just got married, you know, with the excitement of getting married, and I was looking for a job, and I got into this office. I put my CV, you know, with all the confidence. And this guy, the first thing he said was, "I know what to do." So I was like, "What do you mean by I know what to do?" He said, "You know, I should just, he was going to give me the room number of a hotel, and I'll meet him there and we'll talk about it." So I was like, "Oh, don't you see, I'm married." You know, and he said, "Just come back. Like, it's just a ring." Then he said, "If you don't do that, you know why? There are many people who have jobs here, they know what they did. So if you don't want a job, then you will not do it." You know, but when I think about it now.
And what happened next? I'm really interested in the
Oh,
story.
no, I mean, I didn't have the job.
All right.
Obviously, nobody called me back. I didn't have the job.
Okay.
But
Since
what-
you refused to
Since I
succumb
refused
okay.
to take the room number,
Okay.
you know, and I'm happy because sometimes I wonder if this happened before, maybe, you know, maybe you'll be thinking I need a job. So maybe I should do it because some people actually fall for it, you know, just because they think they need it. And this thing breaks your self-confidence when you do it because somebody told me that if you sleep your way into a job, you're going to sleep your way out of that job. The day you stop sleeping with your
Okay.
boss, that's the day you're going to lose your job.
Okay.
You know, and you'll never be happy there.
It's
as
just
long
like if you start sleeping with a lecturer on the very first day when you get into the university, you know that you're going to do that till you leave university. Because we've seen
Exactly.
lecturers who see the next lecturer, maybe at the next level, and they'll continue. Maybe they'll just have to block you all around so that you come back to him because they're all friends.
not
Exactly.
just at the university level, even in offices.
Okay.
I've worked in an office where, you know, we had this lady. First, she slept her way into the job with one of the bosses. When this boss was leaving, he told the next boss coming that I slept with this person. So they know that's an easy target. So they think, you know, you are vulnerable, or you're already vulnerable by doing that. So it's easy for them to approach you, you know, for sexual favors. And for some reason, if mentally, she talked about the mental factor, if mentally you are not strong and you don't reason it out, these people are probably just using me, making me think I have to be in this job because of what I'm doing. You keep doing it from one boss to the next, and then you will lose your self-confidence. You feel disgusted about yourself and all of that.
Okay. Let's talk about your experience. Maybe when you were in the secondary school, were you like sexually harassed by any of your teachers?
By the way, luckily enough, in secondary school, I was a tomboy. But that does not mean I don't know about people who were sexually harassed.
All right.
I can remember, even in primary school, a parent of one of the pupils coming to school to attack one of the teachers. That was in primary school. I mean, this girl was big enough in primary school, you know, she had breasts. You know, in primary, you always have these backbenchers who are big enough.
Okay.
They actually came, it was more of a rape case anyway. But the girl was like, he said, if I don't sleep with him, I'll not pass. That's why I did it. And she got pregnant.
Okay.
That's in primary school. And my kid's sister, when she was doing her master's, I can remember when she was writing her paper, she was looking up to her lecturer, was like, you know, her supervisor was like her mentor. But then the mentor told her,
Hidden agenda.
if you don't do this, you know, your defense is not going to go through. I'm the one who takes the final decision.
And what happened next?
My sister was so broken, she couldn't even talk about it. But the day she talked about it, you know what she told me? She said, I'm going to write my paper. If he does not let me go through, then I was not supposed to go through. But
That's a big one.
That is because she is mentally, when I look at her today, I think she was very mentally strong. Because other people would just give in. They would do it. Like, I need to get
Like
through
so
this
many
thing.
young girls out there who
They
are
would
like
do it.
falling for it. They say there's no
they'll
other,
just say,
there's no
okay,
way out.
I've already
okay.
reached this
And they'll not
level.
tell anybody.
They won't tell anybody. That's the thing with stigmatizing situations.
Okay.
Rape, wife, you know, violence in general, when you're being beaten, sexual harassment, those are things, I mean, no matter how much we say it, some of us can be outspoken. And the way you make your face, you can send someone away. But not everybody is like that. We have to remember that. That's why we have to sensitize people.
Okay.
Some people just cannot, you know, they cannot even think. They will just succumb because they want it. They want the thing they are looking for. They want the job. They want the promotion. They want to be seen like someone in society. But the more they do that, the more they kill themselves. Their self-confidence is down.
Okay, so your university days was just like so perfect. Nobody disturbed you.
My university, I was totally a tomboy. But it didn't change the fact that my classmates did not sexually harass me.
Okay.
That's one point I should make clear.
Okay.
It did not change the fact that because we keep looking at authority and a subordinate. No. Even your classmates in the market, come on, look at the market. These children selling oranges and granules. Some people just hit them or touch their breast. But my classmates, of course, they were sexually harassing me. But it had to take, you know, the next thing was, what's the strategy? If you dare want to hug me, I know all what you want to do.
But you were looking for your strategy all alone without telling anybody.
All alone by myself. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing we are trying to talk about now.
Okay.
You know, that maybe then, if I spoke out, my classmates will not even, you know, the people who were trying to touch me.
And that's people who don't even believe you.
That's another point. Nobody takes you seriously. And when we get to that point, I will say one thing. That's why parents have to start teaching their children about the wrong touch and the right touch from when they are small.
Okay.
Because that's what leads to rape and other sexual acts.
Okay.
Children as young as 2, 3, 4, 5 going up. You know, you just see some adult living with them in their house, just touching their breast.
You don't even need an adult living in the house, a visitor.
Or touching their penis.
Okay.
You know, wrong touch, we have to teach our kids. If somebody touches you here, that's your private part. Nobody touches you there.
Okay.
Even if that person is your daddy, it's a no-go zone.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know, so you know, when you talked about it, I just brought me to that. You know, that we should say it before we forget.
Okay.
Parents have to start teaching their children the wrong touch and the right touch, because that's where it starts. Sometimes you think it's normal that somebody should just squeeze your breast or should just hit your butt. No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Evelyn, can we hear you out right now?
Well, I was also a tomboy in school. As you can see, I'm still almost the same. But I had a very serious harassment in school. That even
At what level?
It was Form 1, Form 2.
Okay.
Until it
That's
brought-
very young. You
it
were still
brought the
very tender.
administration, into it. Now, the first part, it started with the fact that I got into college without knowing anything about my menstrual cycle. And you know, with the dormitory issues, one day they just asked me to go and empty the container where ladies use. And it
That was a trash can?
not like the trash can, the pot can.
Okay.
And it's wrong for a child who is not yet seeing her menses to empty
Okay.
a pot can.
Okay. That was traumatizing.
It's extremely wrong.
Okay.
Now, we went from one. We just picked from one children and asked them to go and throw.
Okay.
Now, I'm in from one, and there is I'm almost like the smallest, tiniest child in school in age and size. And then a lower seat girl comes in who is extremely fat. Now, to torment or to disturb the lower seat girl, they use the two of us as a toy, play toy in the dormitory.
Okay.
They take, I have forgotten even how that girl was called. They'll call her to the dormitory, they take her pants and give me to wear without touching it.
Wow.
Yeah, I just want to explain it the way it is.
Okay.
Ask me to wear it, it will fall down and they're laughing.
Okay.
You see, it's extremely traumatizing. It starts a high level kind of harassment among girls. And they do that almost on daily basis. It was like a sport to them. They would just say, Metsuge, come here. Metsuge, they just call. And when I come, hey, this dry thing, this is, look at her. She's just like a boy. Blah, 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 blah. Is it my fault? That I'll be in Form 1, I don't look like the other girls with balls and butts and whatever. I'm just one small tiny thing there like that. And they want to take me and use me with another fat girl.
Okay.
And we are naked there.
All right. So at the next level, at what stage again did you experience sexual harassment?
Well, the other stage is when I just got got integrated and I was sent to teach in a suburb in Bongé.
So university, you did not experience that?
Well, I mean, university, I did not really experience anything serious.
All right.
It happened to other people that, you know.
What did your friends tell you?
My friends, it's the same thing about not having marks and blood and all those kind of things. It mostly affects girls who are beautiful, who have a lot, something to offer. Some of us who do not have anything to offer.
If you're beautiful,
you don't have anything to offer. You don't have
now
those.
it's a problem to be beautiful.
So it's a problem. So if you're ugly, nobody looks at you.
No. They mock at you. You see.
All right.
So when I got to the village, it was, you know, we get there. Everybody wants to talk to that new teacher. That's why I was emphasizing that sexual harassment is not only a man to a lady. It can also be your environment, the people you have around you, and so on and so forth. So when I came there, it was like, who is this new teacher who has come? And they were knocking on my door almost on daily basis and on holy hours, until the chief had to plead with another for me to go get into another lodging.
Okay.
You see, so the kind of harassment is not
now your job site, was it easy to get a job? A man didn't like say, if you don't like give in to me, can't have that job. Was it so easy to have a job after leaving university?
After leaving university, I've hip-hopped from one job to the other.
Why?
The nature of the country. You don't have a job related to your qualification in this country.
Okay. Now, equally sample the opinion of some young girls in Boya in the southwest region of Cameroon. They had to give their own testimony on sexual harassment. Let's listen to them. We'll be right back.
For example, men always see themselves as supernatural using their physical abilities. Since they are the more powerful ones, as they claim, all their strength and everything to suppress females, and which is not supposed to be so. As modernized as the world has gotten, power should be when they talk of power, it should be all about knowledge. How far you can use your knowledge to challenge somebody. It's not always about manpower, how far you can fight, how far you can beat. Because some men have really used, they brutalize women to get some beat, since they know the woman is not up to them anything, they can beat you. And first, if you counteract their idea, they beat you anyhow. They have really put fear into African women that they cannot really stand up for anything because they're always scared of being beaten all the time. It's horrible because it makes students scared of even studying, especially the females. You see, you go to school and they are like, the only way you can pass an exam is if you maybe sleep with the teacher. And if you're that kind of a person who don't agree to that kind of a thing, they will fail you in all your courses. And at the end of the day, you are failing not because you are dumb, but because you have to give things to get. So it's really disturbing because
the victim in Boya, well, this gender violence, most of the time, it is towards sexual harassment, especially in some sexual harassment, especially in schools, where people, lecturers or teachers will attach good marks to you having sex with him. But there are people, but I think
what your boss will tell you or what your lecturer will tell you, it means that you continue doing that. What if you graduate today from the university and you need to go and look for a job somewhere, and the person will tell you you have to do this in order to be in this post? So it will continue in the whole of your life, and after that it will not even end there. There will be a time when you need promotion from the stage that you are to another stage. So you need to do the same thing that made you to work in that post that you are, in order for you to move from the post that you are to the next post. So what I just want the girls to do is to channel the problems to the right channel.
It's really overshadowing the brilliant people, like brilliant ladies, overshadowing them. Since they cannot get into that kind of a business, they end up taking and repeating classes, and their what they have in them they cannot give it to the world, they cannot add value to the world.
first of all, every individual have to be conscious of his or her rights as a citizen, irrespective of a male or a female. So if a girl is being violated, first of all, any form of violation should be reported to authorities. So we need to start sensitizing the authorities to be fair when judging, especially when it comes to a man and when a lady brings a problem of being abused. So the adjustment needs to start from the authority. The authority needs to know that when situations like this come to me, I should be able to address it like this. That is why even in schools there has been in-service training to sensitize teachers on how to address situations like this.
For instance, you have a VC, the VC is there to at least talk to his subordinates, to his cabinet and the rest of the people working with him. So if you have that kind of problem, you need to challenge it to the VC. And in the other way, I would say some of them are lazy. They don't read. They don't take their books serious. They don't read. That is why when you give them that kind of opportunity, that if you give me your body, I'm going to give you marks. Some of them are so happy. After all, is it not just sex? What is it? After all, I give it to my boyfriend for free. So why cannot I just give it to my lecturer for marks in order for me to graduate and leave this institution?
Welcome back. We are looking for solutions. Now, what should young girls do, especially women, in the face of all this?
Like those who are exposed to
it, yeah.
Sexual. First of all, you have to identify the harassment. Where is it coming from? You must know if it is your fault, because you know there are some women who are at fault, who have called for the harassment to themselves, whether a woman or a man. So search
by
yourself.
doing what? Because it can be doing unconsciously.
By either your habits, your dressing, your attitude. You expose yourself. There are some women who are so tempting that you don't have a choice. You harass them before you start.
So some of them even harass the lecturer.
Exactly. Now listen, about the real lecturer. You know, the moment you start accepting a mark that you did not work, you don't deserve, you have already given the man room, because those harassments don't just come spontaneously. They start from somewhere. They start giving you little favors and you accept them. Then it goes now to the level of them verbally asking you for those things. It started somewhere, and by the time you started accepting it, you have already accepted to be harassed.
All right, patient.
You know, I think I'm going to agree with you on something. And let's not also forget, by the way, before we look for a solution, the question is, did they do it deliberately, or they just claim that they were sexually harassed? Like I say, it's a very gray area. And Sometimes we want to be women too much. For the fact that we blame men for everything. It's not right. Because even when you say women's right, you need a man to fight for that woman, for the women's right. You are not just the woman fighting for the man. If you have a man who understands you, then that man fights for you and even your rights. So sometimes we forget the fact that these women actually deliberately go out for it. Like, I know women who have deliberately tempted their bosses because they won favors. They want favors. They want a promotion.
Okay.
So the way they dress to the office, the way they talk to their bosses, the things they do to their bosses. And most of them are people who know these bosses. They know them. They know, oh, he probably has a problem at home. You know, so you push the man to do it, then you say he sexually harassed you. Actually, you sexually harassed the man. Harassed the man.
Which means that women are more of provocative. Is that what you're saying?
We say that you search yourself to know whether you are the cause, that whether you have invited.
But we also have ignorant.
No, we have a lot of ignorant women.
But now, when we have cases of where you were actually harassed without you be contributing to it, I think the first thing you have to do is to look for a confidant, somebody you can have confidence in, and tell the person that this is what I have experienced, and so, so that if it's at the level of, if it's an elderly person, so that they look for a way to bring that person to order, to talk to that person. Because there are also situations where you are being harassed without even your harasser knowing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. You understand that somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, but the person.
But you're not telling the person. But you're not telling the person. When you accept it, when you accept it, can we call it as harassment?
No, that's what
when you're enjoying it.
No, when you enjoy it, you will not talk.
Yeah.
But if it makes you uncomfortable, then it becomes harassment. So what you have to do is look for a polite way, and then there is also a manner of approach. You know, there are some people who don't have the right manner of approach. That's why there is denial always at the end, where people start refusing that, no, I did not harass you, because of the manner of approach. So you look for somebody elderly, and that you know that the person will be able to handle the situation in a mature way, so that they can try to talk to the person.
But the fact that we have most women swallow it up, especially young girls, they don't talk.
No. Yeah, that's why the first thing
when you don't talk means you're contributing.
Yes.
The first thing to do is outrightly make the person know that's an unwelcome behavior.
Okay.
You know, because sometimes you shock them by what you tell them. Like, no.
Exactly. Stop.
I don't like what you're doing. You stop what you're doing. What you're doing is not right.
Okay.
You know, the first thing to do
it's just like it's like some girls don't have no in your mouth.
No.
It's just like yes, or they just stay quiet.
You know,
because like they need to teach girls how to say no.
There is something about different personalities. You understand? So sometimes I don't want to rush so much to condemn or judge people, because people have different personalities and they have different ways of reacting to problems. There is someone who would just say, no, if you dare, I will break your head. There's another person who is just going to walk out of there.
Okay.
There's another person who will slap you. There's another person who will try to understand with you, to make you understand that it's not right, don't do it. You know, and there's another person who will just stay quiet. They know it's not right, but they don't know what to do.
Let you go.
So they just let you, they just go with the flow.
But which is the best?
The best thing is to outrightly tell this person that is an unwelcome behavior.
Okay.
Don't do it again.
If you feel threatened by the fact that maybe when you tell the person may not react the way you're expecting, confide in somebody. Tell somebody whom you think can easily talk to that person or can bring that person to
because we even have
now, like what you are doing, this is a very nice platform.
Okay.
There is nobody who will want the media to get involved.
Exactly.
That's one thing that people should learn to know. The media is very powerful. Look for anybody. If the person does not succumb to the second approach, try the media.
Okay. You want to add something, Pei?
Yeah, Maureen, I'm thinking you are a good platform right now, because what you're doing is sensitization.
Okay.
That's
so what are we telling the women? You're facing that type of, you have a lecturer who is like disturbing you. He says you're not going to pass until you give in to him. So what do you do? What's the first thing? How do you handle it?
When you say no to him, you tell him that you're going to say it outrightly.
And he fails you.
Oh, let him fail you.
But
the fact that you say it and he knows you are going to say it, you know, either to your friends or to another lecturer, or you're taking it up to the administration.
Now, if he fails you, what do you do?
Keep
You feel-
records.
Exactly.
Keep records of
Because
what
it's
he
very
has been
difficult
doing.
to prove.
Now,
So
because when
make
you have
sure.
those records, they
Okay.
will help you.
Okay.
Hey,
Because
tape
that's
it.
one thing. No, you don't. You don't need. You may
Tape
not
it.
have. You may not have the chance to tape.
To
it.
tape.
No,
But
I
now,
mean, it's just another option.
Okay. So we are telling young girls
No.
to say no.
And report it.
Okay.
Like she said, talk to someone that you trust.
Okay.
Talk to your pastor, talk to your counselor. You have a number there, Maureen.
Okay.
Let them send you a message. You know who to contact to
Okay.
help them.
All right, Evelyn, your last words,
my
especially
last
to young girls
words
and
to
women,
all the
because
young
women
girls
are
and women
victims
who
of
are
these sexual
victims. I'm going to repeat
Okay.
what you say. Who are victims of harassment? Like we've been saying here,
sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment. Please say no. Just stop it immediately. Because if you let the person go to the next step, the person will have the conception that you're enjoying it, and then they will continue, and it may end up to rape. So if you don't want that to happen, please stop it immediately.
All right, I want to thank you ladies for honoring the invitation. And we're telling to all women out there, the topic was sexual harassment, and we're telling young girls, just learn to say no, because it's an act which you want, we are condemning, and learn to say no. We want young girls to have confidence in themselves. Love yourself, love what you're doing, and learn to say no.
Say no.
Know your rights. Now, we've come to the end of the program. If you love it, do take another rendezvous, same night, same time next week. Goodbye.